Woo! What's going on, guys? Orange Farm coming at you guys today with another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about Colin Kaepernick. There's been rumors out there that Colin Kaepernick is a possible landing spot to the Detroit Lions. There's been reports that Sheila Ford is on board. There's been reports that Brad Holmes is apparently intrigued. Don't know how serious this is really. I haven't read too much about it. Now, the Kaepernick situation is very touchy. Okay, it's very touchy. So I just want to be careful with some of the things I say. I'm not going to take any type of racist comments. I'm not going to take any type of slander towards myself when I say what I'm about to say. But I just feel it needs to be said because there's a possible landing spot going to Detroit. So I just want to say what I have to say. And this is the thing on Kaepernick. I'll go through his stats first before I get into the man himself. He's a 6'4", 225-pound dude. Went to Nevada, drafted in 2011, I believe. 2011, second round by the San Francisco 49ers. A threat on the ground. Not a very good passer. Like a 58% completion percentage at Nevada. But ran for like over 1,000 yards, like almost every single season he was at Nevada pretty much. And rushed for a ton of touchdowns. Got drafted in the second round on pure talent. Pure, I think, potential. Okay? Gone to the pros, 12,271 yards, 72 touchdowns, 30 picks. A QBR never over 72. A quarterback rating. That was his best, 71.8 in his 6-year career. And a 59.8% completion percentage, which is absolutely abysmal. Okay? It's abysmal. Rushed for over 2,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, 37 fumbles in 6 years as a pro. His last 2 years were really bad, by the way. 2015, 8 games, only threw 6 touchdowns. 2016, 11 games, only threw 16 touchdowns. The man was literally about to be benched for Blaine Gabbert. Not that Blaine Gabbert beat him out in anything, but it's just that he was about to lose his job. And then we all know what happened next. Okay? We all know what happened next. He knelt. He knelt because he wanted social justice for things that were going on in his community, against minorities, against the police. He also went as far as he wanted to defund the police, which is an absolute horrific idea. You want it to be like Mad Max. You want it to be like Escape from New York. Go check out those movies because that's pretty much what would happen if you didn't have the cops. Now, the cops are not the most innocent people in the world by any imagination. So I've had my run-ins with them, and I've had some losing battles. Okay, so it's not like I am pro cop, like, oh my God. But if you were ever to defund them or ever to have them not be around, it would be utter chaos. Then he went as far as wearing socks with pigs on his socks, dressed in cop uniforms. Brilliant move. Like, just a brilliant move if you don't ever want to work pretty much in the NFL again. Just if you don't want any type of backup, it's just not a smart move. Just very, very immature. Very immature. Then the story goes on and on with Kaepernick about, Baltimore Ravens were interested in, I think, acquiring him or something like that, and he didn't want to go there because he didn't want to be a backup. Same with the Denver Broncos. They were interested in him too. Same deal. Didn't want to go there to be a backup. That was the reports. Okay? That was the reports. And then his girlfriend saying lots of stuff about owners on how they treat their players. Never really helped. Talking about Ray Lewis. calling Ray Lewis literally and Uncle Tom, which was ridiculous too. And even Colin Kaepernick himself referring to himself and all NFL players as slaves. And then calling NFL owners slave owners. So you don't have a job, you're pretty much out of the NFL, and you're saying stuff like that. To me, that's odd. And then every year he's been out of the league. He's been out of the league for 5 years now, going on 6. His last year was 2016. And then when he's about to get benched, and then it was done. His career was over. Now, every year we hear about this guy's name coming up every March and every April. Like clockwork. Kaepernick's back. Oh, Kaepernick's coming back. Kaepernick, this team, that team. You got Pete Carroll saying, people should sign him. Why don't you sign him, Pete? Your quarterback is Drew Lock. What's stopping you from signing him? I'll tell you what's stopping him from signing him. He's just not a good quarterback. So every year we hear about this guy coming back. 34 years old, going to be 35 in November. Still a specimen. Still can probably run really well. Not as well as he could 6 years ago. But he can probably still run the football, obviously. But I guarantee his arm mechanics aren't good. But he goes to a Michigan spring game. One of those little spring games, Michigan Wolverines. His old coach, Harbaugh, showcases him. Running around in his tank top, running around in his shorts, throwing the ball to open wide receivers. People oohing and on like it's some kind of special thing. We just saw Tim Boyle do this a couple weeks ago. He looked like a Hall of Famer, Tim Boyle. These guys that run around in their friggin' shorts and their t-shirts, throwing the football to open wide receivers is not impressive. It's scripted to a T, down to a T. It's scripted. So this guy's been trying to get in the NFL for the last 5 years. We hear about him 5-6 years. We hear about him every March, every April. The draft comes, the whispers start going away. Gone. Okay? Then the draft's over. You don't really hear too much. Training camp starts coming around. You're not really hearing too much about Kaepernick. You're not really hearing it. You might hear a whisper here or there, but it's pretty much gone. Season starts, poof, gone. Like he threw a smoke bomb and disappeared. Then he just resurfaces again in March and April. Now, is this the type of guy that would be a fit for what the Lions are looking for? Like, never mind about the politics aside and all the things he knelt for. I got no problem with him kneeling. None. I don't have a problem with what he did as a human being, as a man. He did what he thought was necessary. That's fine. Personally, I thought it was the wrong way to do it. But then again, I don't have the answers for how he should have went about it. It's just maybe there was no way to do it besides that way. It's just, But it's just him always resurfacing in March and April. Now all of a sudden the Detroit Lions are interested in him, and I'm kind of not really feeling it. I'm just not really feeling it from the football side of it. Never mind everything else. Everything else is irrelevant, I think, right now. Kinda. And then you're going to say, well, Mark, there's Tim Boyle and there's David Blau. I get it. I do. I get it. It's like, well, he's automatically better. Is he? Guy hasn't played a down of football in 6 years. Now, Tim Boyle and David Blau are not good football players. They're not good quarterbacks. Good enough to be in the NFL, I guess. Barely. But, like, who am I to say? Like, I'm just letting you know. He hasn't played, so you can't come like I was going at it with some guy the other day. I was going, I think, earlier today or yesterday. He's telling me that he can still play football. Colin Kaepernick, and he's way better than David Blau and Tim Boyle. I'm like, okay, well now you're making definitive statements. We just talked about this as a group, as an ISN group. You can't make that statement. You don't know. You don't know what you're going to get from him. He hasn't been touched in 6 years on the football field. Now all of a sudden this guy is going to be better than every quarterback on this roster. Some people think he's going to be better than Jared Goff. And Jared Goff, I'm not here to start banging the drum for Jared Goff either. I'm just letting you know. We don't know if he was to get signed here, who says he's going to be better than anybody on this roster? Because he was good back in 2013. That was his good year. 2013, 2014, whatever it was. Like, he was terrible in his last 2 years of football. Terrible. Terrible with his accuracy. 59% completion percentage. You know, he could run the football. The guy he literally looked like a deer, like a gazelle run the football in his prime. Then you got guys telling me that, man, he's just, one guy even told me he's only in his late 20s. I'm like, dude, you're arguing about a guy and you don't even know what his age is. He's 34. Not 20, not 28, not 29, not 27. 34. Now, that's not ancient by any stretch, okay? It's not. It's not over the hill, but that's old in football years. That's very old in football years, especially when you haven't been playing the game. And I just don't know how he would fit this team. People talk about, like this draft coming up, people talk about Kayvon Thibodeau. And I always seem to be going back to Kayvon Thibodeau. I know I got a little bit of an obsession with him. People say, well, he doesn't care about football. He doesn't. Colin Kaepernick does? He cares about football? Really? Does he? Because he really tried to get himself out of football 5-6 years ago with his comments and his actions. And I'm not talking about the kneeling. I'm talking about just his words, calling NFL owners slaves, slave owners, and NFL football players slaves themselves. You guys get paid all kinds of money. It's your job. You're supposed to listen to people. I don't know what kind of world some of these athletes live in, but it's your job. You're supposed to, you're supposed to do as you're told. You have a criteria. You have a schedule. You do what you're told. You work. You do your job. You go home. That's it. And you get paid gobs of money. Obscene amounts of money for what you do. And then you want to complain about it. But this Kaepernick to Detroit, I'm not feeling, and it's not got nothing to do with the political side of it. It's all has to do with the actual football side of it. But you can't talk about Colin Kaepernick without telling that story behind it. You can't. It will be forever his story. You can't be like, well, Colin Kaepernick, he was just, wasn't a very good football player. If you personally think that, and I personally think he wasn't. I think he was completely overrated, completely overhyped. They went to the Super Bowl that one year, I think, on a stacked defense. But you can't talk about Kaepernick without talking about his backstory, about the kneeling, about what he did, about what he said, what his girlfriend said, yada, yada, yada. Him trying to get back in the league every year and then disappearing because he never got back in the league. Posting workouts, saying he's going to work out, running away and going to another spot and doing his workout only for a couple teams or ESPN. Remember that when he decided to come back, was it last year or 2 years ago? They changed spots right away and went to like a high school, and it can only let a few people in. It just seems like a guy that just, look at me. He was just kind of like one of those guys. I personally don't think he has any interest in playing football. I really don't. And I don't know how he would fit here in Detroit. They're looking for guys that want to bang heads. They're looking for guys that want to change the culture. Does a guy like Kaepernick do that? You know, he's got a little bit of a winning pedigree when he went to the Super Bowl a few, like 7-8 years ago, but it doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I wish the man luck. I really do, because I don't have a personal vendetta against him. Nothing like that. People will say, well, Mark, look, Mark's talking like a racist, and Mark sounds a little bit racist, sounds like a bigot. No, there's no hate, there's no bigotry coming from me, there's no racism coming from me. But you can't talk about Kaepernick without talking about some of the backstory. And when I watched him play, I thought he was the most overhyped football player even back then. I did. He was abysmal throwing the football. Abysmal. But when he ran the ball, he was special. He was. But I would never call him a dual threat, because in order to be a dual threat, you better be good at both. He was good at one thing, run the ball. And that's just facts. Now, do the Lions want that? Could he be better than Tim Boyle, David Blau, like I said? Possibility, but there's no guaranteed. It's not a guarantee. If they took a shot on him, he cost, what, $1 million? I don't know. If that happens, it's happening because of Hard Knocks. I'll tell you that right now. That's my call. That's my call. It will be because of Hard Knocks. That's why. And that's my opinion. Because it will be pay-per-view viewings. If he was to all of a sudden go on a team, all of a sudden he's on the Detroit Lions, one of the worst teams in the NFL. Colin Kaepernick. Oh my God, does he have a chance to unseat Jared Goff? That's pay-per-view stuff. Just because he's so polarizing. Not because he's good. It's just because he's a polarizing figure in the NFL. That'd be the only thing that I could see this organization doing, and I would actually question that. I'd be questioning that hard. Why do you want that? Because it could be a distraction. You already talk about Hard Knocks being a distraction. You bring in a guy like that, that could be a major distraction. Maybe it'll take some pressure off some other players. Who knows? But I don't see it happening. I don't think he's going to be signed by anybody. I think NFL teams have kind of, in a way, blackballed him for things he's done in the past. I'm not going to deny that. I won't, because I think it's ignorant for me too. But also, he's not a good quarterback. And I think that might be a reason why he's not signed too. Look at Deshaun Watson. Now, we're not going to get into all that, but look at Deshaun Watson. 22 women accused. Cleveland Browns gave the world to go get him. And then backed up the Brinks truck and dumped it in his lap. Why? Because he's special as a quarterback. But he could potentially be the scum of the earth. That's a whole other video. That's a whole other thing that I won't even really get into, because I know nothing really too much about that. Just what I've read, and that it's not being pursued right now, but there's apparently it's getting reopened again, maybe in a Texas court, from what I'm hearing, and that there's other things going on as well too in that case. It's not over. Cleveland may have screwed that up, but I'm not getting into that. So the Kaepernick thing, I'm just not really feeling it from a football side of things. And then the other side of it, that is something that the organization is going to have to decide on if they want to bring in a guy like that. That's it. That's it. But I thought I just want to talk about it. If I hurt anybody's feelings, it wasn't intentional. And I'm not trying to. I'm as real as it gets when it comes to stuff like this. You don't want to hear the truth from me, then I'm not the type of channel that you want to listen to. Sorry. Not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. You know, that's a Canadian thing. Sorry, but I'm not really sorry. So thanks for the video, guys. Thanks for paying attention. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button in the bottom right. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, get on my vids. And don't forget to like and comment. We can talk about it. Kaepernick to Detroit. You in, you're out. I'm not in. I am way out. Just my feelings. Go Lions. Let's go.